This is huge. I bought a magazine. First magazine I've bought in like 15 years. Um, as you can already see, there's a rabbit on the front corner. So, actually, interesting. Before I get to that, it's funny how the big main star on the front page is a Mark 7 Golf R with a 5-cylinder swap. It's so funny because, like, on YouTube, there's a bunch of people. Well, I wouldn't say a bunch. There's a select few that just try to argue this. What's the word? Just the superiority, supposedly, in their opinion, of a 2.0 turbo, whether it's the FSI or the TSI. Ugh. Leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Sorry. Sure, the new TSIs, Gen 3, whatever, they're not that bad, I guess, but they still are very shitty, in my opinion, in a few different ways. Carbon buildup and fucking leaky water pumps, and of course, they just can't sound good no matter what you do to it. Anyway, it's enough of those. I just love 5 cylinders. That's what the whole YouTube channel is about. The reason I got this magazine was because of this car right here, but it's bigger than that. It's not just the reason I bought the magazine. This car right here, this fucking thing right here, is the reason that I went so crazy modifying the Jetta that I had. If any of you remember that Jetta, not like it's some crazy car, like it was not like some fast car that was keeping up with Lamborghinis and shit. I never even got a chance to boost it, but that was my whole goal. I watched old videos of this car, and literally the video, I can't even find it anymore, but the video I watched that was showing this car do pulls, it was already an old video when I saw it. It was already old when I found it, and that was like I don't remember the year, but it was like a good 6 or 7 years ago when I saw that video. So here it is on the front page of a magazine, and the only reason I got word of this was because the owner of this car, the current owner of this car, is on one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, 2.5 group. He's a friend of mine on Facebook now. And it was funny because as soon as I saw him requesting to join the group, I saw the car and I was like, oh my God, that's it. And I had to fucking write him a message and just kind of like, be a fangirl for a minute there. And so C2 Motorsports turbocharged Mark V Rabbit. And it was done in the early days. I think this one was boosted in '08 or something like that. And it has a crazy history. They kind of touch on that in the magazine, which I suggest you get. Kelly Media, August 2021 edition, Performance VW. It was pound sterling, $5.50. I think it was like $8 or something like that. $10 shipped. I forget how much it was exactly. But this car kind of started it all for me. Like, I already had my Jetta, 2010. I bought it brand new in 2010. I think when I saw the video, the boosted Rabbit, I think I already had like an intake and some exhaust work on it. Pretty much nothing. But I was already in love with the car. It was my first new car I ever bought. Was such a great car, in and out, so many different ways. Like the build quality, the curves. I loved everything about the car. And then when I had the intake and exhaust on it, I loved the way it sounded. I was like really taken back by how it sounded. The first thing I did actually, I'm pretty sure the first thing I did was just put a Magnaflow muffler on the back. And when I drove away from the exhaust shop, I was like, holy fucking shit, what the fuck? Literally, I had this big reaction because how good it sounded. Never had a 5-cylinder car before. So, a couple years later, maybe a year or two, I was looking at buying more parts, and I was looking at maybe buying parts to turbocharge it, and I stumbled across that video. And I could be wrong because I've seen a few of them, but I think for that video, they nicknamed it Thunder Bunny. Now that we all know Thunder Bunny is like the TDI Cup cars, they got the Thunder Bunny bumper. Thunder Bunny is like, the front bumper, side skirts, rear bumper thing. Excuse me, but I might be wrong, but I think they nicknamed it Thunder Bunny in the video. And I thought it was funny. This was before I knew anything about Thunder Bunny parts, but I thought it was funny because it was like this little white hatchback Rabbit, and it looked like a little bunny. And since it had some power, some nuts, had some boost under the hood, I thought Thunder Bunny was a real funny name. But it was real inspiring. I'm like, hell, man, that thing sounds even better. It's got some power now. Like, it's not this 150 horsepower car, so I started modifying the crap out of the Jetta, just, Intake manifold, ironically enough, from C2 Motorsports. I got tuned by United Motorsports, which ironically enough is the tuner, Jeffrey Atwood, was C2 Motorsports, and now he owns United Motorsports. So I was kind of inadvertently following the footsteps of this car. 2.5, obviously, I had the C2 intake manifold. I was tuned by the guy that tuned this fucking car, and the same guy that tuned my boosted Rabbit, which is outside, which needs to be retuned by him really badly. But, I did some exhaust work. I did, the standard stuff like the wheels and coilovers. But I did like an Audi TTRS crank pulley, eventually did a 6-speed swap after going through like 3 5-speeds. GTI 6-speed, I did a stage 2 clutch, and eventually did Raxels and LSD, and every shift bushing you can think of from Diesel Geek, all of them, which I'm doing again with the Rabbit. And yeah, I was just stoked. I just wanted to make this car like this underdog. This is how I saw it. The underdog, this car that was slow from the factory. My Jetta had 170 horsepower. They weigh like 3,400 pounds. They're not fast at all, but it was such a nice car. I knew if you knew what you were doing, you could make it fast. Look at Honda Civics. Little tiny pieces of shit, 110, 130 horsepower, and they can be fast as fuck. So I knew I could do that. Now, unfortunately, my Jetta never got boosted, but I did get it to where even with no boost, no forced induction, no nitrous, nothing like that, stock internals, naturally aspirated, that car was keeping up. Well, actually, it was beating a stock Evo, modified WRX, Focus ST. It was really impressive, the things I could get done with that car. And all in the name of this, because of this video that I saw years and years ago. Now it's in this magazine, so I thought I gotta buy this magazine. That's so fucking sick. But it gets crazy, because what was brought to my attention, which I was even more excited to buy it for, was the owner of this car. When he joined the 2.5 group, we had some conversations. I wrote him, and like I said, I was like being a fangirl about the car. I'm like, man, I remember this video, and it inspired me to modify the car, and blah blah blah. And then, so here it is, the page that he starts on. Talks about who he is, his history with Volkswagens, the weird history with this Volkswagen in particular. He starts off with some basic stats on what these cars come with, 150, 170 horsepower, But I had a conversation with him and, shared some information that I knew about parts, turbo stuff, turbo setups, and we talked for a little while. And I just, told him about the things that I know. I was very passionate about 2.5s. I have been for many years now. Still am. And the car looks so fucking nice. Like, look at this thing. It has like the perfect stance for the Mark V Rabbit. Of course, it doesn't help that he has a one-off fender flares. There's some that came close to it, but I don't really think any of them look quite that good. The crazy thing is, his picture here, this is exactly what my Rabbit looked like when I first bought it. Hell, it didn't even have the red top coils, but stock intake manifold, C2 turbo kit, stage 2, secondary air injection, all that stuff, same wastegate and everything. So what's different about mine is I deleted the secondary air injection, did vacuum pump delete, installed the C2 Motorsports intake manifold. I don't remember why, I forget now, but I cut the big elbow here off, and I just have my mass airflow sensor over here by the battery, kind of hanging out right over here, and put a different spring in the wastegate. Went from 8 psi to like 12, and a whole bunch of other stuff you can't see. But anyway, this isn't about my engine bay. The crazy thing about this article that blew my mind was this right here, this red column. Here you have engine, chassis, exterior, interior, and then a shout out section. He actually mentions me, and I think I feel like at this point it feels like I'm bragging, and trust me, I'm not. Anytime you've had interactions with me, asked me things, talked to me, I've never been the kind of person who's like cocky and bragging about myself. But it blew my mind, and I'll kind of tell you why. But here he says, shout out from Matt Joyner for many bits of 07K turbo specific knowledge. And he mentions a bunch of people here. it was crazy because he kind of mentions having like an obsession with Japanese cars years ago, which I did too. And here's why this is such a big deal to me. So when I was a kid, like I don't know about anyone watching this, but I'm 34 now, right? So 34. When I was a kid, long before I was driving a car, I would say 10 years old, 12 years old, I was obsessed with JDM cars, you know, R34 GTR, Mark IV Supra, FD3S RX7, 180SX, 200SX, S13, S15 Sylvia, all that stuff. And I always used to go to like grocery stores like Publix, and I always used to see the magazine section. I was just like a kid in a candy store, you know. I would see magazines like Super Street and Import Tuner and all this other stuff, and they had the fucking best magazines, the best cars, like, I mean, Signal Auto, June Auto, HKS, all these badass builds, you know, these Skylines that were making 800 horsepower, and at the time, 800 horsepower was like fucking insane. Like, nothing's touching you on the street, not even a fucking bike at the time. And I always used to get the magazines. I used to have a giant collection of them. I just had so many magazines. Eventually, I had to throw a bunch of them out because they were getting ruined and stuff. So to have someone mention me in a magazine is like really big for me. I was like, that's fucking crazy. Like, I can't believe it. So I had to buy that magazine. So that's a long rant about this little mind-blowing event that I had. So shout out back to him because he's the fucking reason that I went so crazy with that Jetta. It's because of him that I hurt so many feelings. So Rabbit's over here kind of up close because I was running inside after going to the grocery store because it was raining, of course. This time of year in Florida sucks so fucking much because it's always raining, hurricane season, it's bullshit. So that's all I had for right now. I just wanted to share that. Super stoked. So, you know, it kind of gave me a little bit more inspiration to continue working with the Rabbit. You know, not that I'm done per se, but I changed my mind on building the motor. I'm not going to be doing that. But I do have to install a few more small bits. I still need to get a bigger set of injectors. I still need to get retuned. And I still need to get the intercooler reworked. And I still have to go to a local guy here to get the downpipe remade. Definitely have to get a new downpipe fabbed up. So, you know, hopefully one day soon I'll be a 400 wheel horsepower or so, somewhere around there. And yeah, then I'll just keep the car as it is and bury it with me. So anyway, that's all for now. Hope you guys are getting somewhere with your 2.5s as well, whatever it may be. And also, I wanted to say this. I know I do not post many videos. I post very rarely, it seems, lately. And I feel real bad about it because there was once a time where I was real excited about making YouTube videos. I wanted to make videos like every week. I wanted to always show that I was doing something with the car because the YouTube videos that I used to watch was people that were always working on the car, always installing something new, always like, you know, racing. And I used to have a bunch of racing videos on the channel too. I took them all off. I still have them all, but they're unlisted because I didn't want to attract the wrong attention and like have someone see me on a road that's easily identifiable doing like double the speed limit. So I wanted to be a little smarter about it. But yeah, I used to always watch videos that were inspiring me to like work on the car. So I kind of wanted to do the same thing, make videos of me working on the Jetta and working on the Rabbit, you know, showing how to do something so that when you go to do it, it's a little bit easier, showing how I did things, you know. And since the Jetta was so competitive to a bunch of stock turbo cars, I wanted to show people everything I did to it so people would understand that you don't fucking have to be boosted or you don't have to weigh 2,000 pounds to beat a Focus ST. Like, they're not fast. It's all about, I'm not even going to get into that right now. But maybe I should make videos about that, like how to beat a stock turbo car. It's really not hard. Anyway, so I don't make videos much anymore, and I wish I did. I wish I made them like weekly, but I just don't really have the time for it. But more than that, I just don't really have the actual content for it. Like, some people will make videos that are like clickbaity, in my opinion. Very clickbaity, or they either have their parents' money or they're already big enough YouTubers where they're making money, they could just dump cash into the car so they can keep the ball rolling. And I don't have a bunch of money to just like spend money on parts like I used to. I was always flat broke because I was spending all my money on car parts. But to just like put out a bunch of legitimate content. It's extremely expensive or very difficult because you got to be, I guess, that extra in creativity. Um, I don't want to make videos that are pointless and just waste your time. Like maybe I'm wasting your time now with this long rant, but I just want to make videos that are like worth making and worth watching. So I want to make some, but if I'm not installing something or whatever, then I'm typically not going to make a video. Usually. Um, However, anyone that leaves comments on my videos suggesting a kind of video they want to see, I'm always down to make that. But if it's one or two people, it's kind of hard to justify it. It just depends. So if people are commenting and saying like, I want to see you make a video of how to do this, how to install this, or what's your opinion on this, I love giving my opinion on stuff. So yeah, if you guys leave comments about what kind of videos you want to make, you want to see me make, then I'll totally do that. So, and hopefully it'll help the channel grow as well. I think I'm at like 1,800 subscribers now, which is pretty big. It would be pretty cool to see 2,000. We'll see where it goes. And who knows, if I play the lottery and win millions of dollars, then I'll have a fucking crazy YouTube channel. I'll be fucking doing crazy shit to the car if that ever happens, which, pipe dream. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it there for now. This video with no real content has gone long enough. But this was a big deal for me. Pretty badass, so I wanted to share it. Hope all you guys are doing stuff to your 2.5s. Hope you're having fun this summer and staying out of trouble with the fucking hurricanes and whatever. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.